All right. We might not have any more battle royale NFL slates, no more spicy NFL pick'ems to build, but the show must go on. Off and on the clock will continue to go on. I'm Pete Overzet here with the Badge Bros today. Little recap of my trip to Arizona with Underdog for the Super Bowl, and then we're going to talk some ball. No, not that ball. Bays ball. A man, myself, entered a single dinger team. We advanced at 100% clip. I plan to run it back this year. The boys are going to school me on some baseball, hop in a dinger draft, all today on Off and on the Clock. Let's roll it, John. All right. Here we are. It feels weird to be joining you guys here without any football really to talk about, but excited to keep this show rolling throughout the offseason with you guys.
Yeah, this is gonna be good, Pete. I think we can do a pretty good job of converting you. We'll see. Maybe I'm a little too bullish, a little too optimistic on our skills, on our persuasiveness. But I thought you would really have the itch after just nailing the nuts last year. I mean, just flawless, damn near flawless draft last season. I think we might be able to repeat last year's success. What do you think, John?
I think it's a historic advance rate, and to not chase it with multiple entries this year to prove that you are that guy would be a lost opportunity.
I think you guys are persuasive. There's been a lot of people who have been trying to get me to do big board drafts. I am still a 2024 big board virgin, but I'm going to pop my dinger cherry even before the big board. So, I mean, you guys got to put that feather in your cap.
Absolutely will.
That's a big win. That's mostly a big win. Oh,
So,
Pete, let's hear about Arizona. I selfishly wanted to start the show there because I'm super curious how enjoyable the time was, what your vibe at Waste Management was like and such.
Yeah, it was a fun time. Yeah, basically, they decided to run it back in Arizona. We were there last year. Obviously, the Super Bowl was there, but generally, we don't even go to the game. Like a couple years ago when it was in LA, they normally just rent a place out, fly out partners, content people. They had a lot of people from their partnerships team this year. And yeah, we make some content and do some events and stuff like that. But because of the logistics, I think, for Las Vegas this year and how insane it was, they decided to just run it back at our place in Arizona. But I got to talk with, some of the guys like Coley and Trill and obviously Hayden and Josh, who were in Vegas previously. They had some fun there. And then, yeah, it was a jam-packed weekend. They had lots of events for us. Went to the Suns game on Thursday night. Although I feel like I watched about 4 possessions because we were just all talking, which is kind of my MO at these events, is I don't actually watch and pay attention. But that was fun. Did a Top Golf one night. And then went to the Waste Management, and we got really lucky because everyone saw it devolve into just pure chaos on Saturday. We went on Friday. It was the best weather day and was not that chaotic whatsoever. So I felt like I got the best of both worlds to enjoy it without being stampeded by a bunch of, drunk frat bros. So yeah, it was great.
It really turned into Panama City Beach. Like, it was not normally that rowdy, I don't think. And then it really got off course, and now they have to really reel it back in next season or next year by the sounds of it. Yeah, it's a good thing you missed that.
I guess you're not allowed to have.
What's
it's too much of a good thing. It's too much of a good thing. Like, it went too crazy that the stories that everybody was telling of years past, and now all it turns out is people that don't care about the sport at all and just looking to get wrecked, be belligerent, and film themselves doing so, right?
Right. I think it was like the perfect storm of 3 things. There's one, the dynamic you're talking about, where people feel like, hey, we just got to one up each other. Now there's all this debaucherous tourism where it's like, I just got to go check this out. And I want to be the guy doing a front flip into a sand pit. So there's that. Then there was the weather. And so because so much of the course was soaked and turned to mud, basically when you're out on a golf course, there's all these little places you can kind of congregate and watch. Well, the amount of actual real estate to watch was reduced because it was just a mud pit. So now there's smaller areas where people can congregate, which creates more, bottlenecks and traffic. And then the third thing was they had, because of the delays, they had one of those days where it was like they were finishing up the action, I believe, from Friday. But then there were people who had tickets to watch Saturday. And I think it tripped them up at one of their ticketing spots. And the people were just like, fuck it. We'll just let everyone in without checking the wristbands because they're like, oh, are you day 2? Are you day 3 or whatever? And so they had an influx. I believe it was like 25,000 extra people than they meant to let in. So it was just all of those things at once. And then the fire marshal, I believe, was just like, this is chaotic. Shut off all concessions, all drinks. And hopefully that will get some people, finally getting out of here. But that's the day, I believe that was Saturday, that it just turned to absolute anarchy.
Jesus Christ.
But
where were you guys set up? Were you guys set up on like the 16th in the stadium hole, like that sort of thing?
No, so we weren't there. We had a post up spot like around the 10th tee box, which was a pretty good spot as far as getting to kind of see a lot of different stuff. But like the way that stuff plays out on the 16th, people literally get there at like 3 or 4 in the morning and to kind of get a spot in line. And then there's some reserve seats, but then everyone else like just sprints. Like you can find the clips of when they open it up and people are just gunning. It's in the dark because it's like 4 a.m. or whatever they open it up to go get their spots. And so it's very, very competitive to be around the 16th. Yeah, it's weird. Like we had like an awesome setup because we had this little like food and grill area that we could go grab some stuff or whatever. And then we would use that as a home base, go check out some golf, come back. But like, if you're just going to a spot, you just have to sit there all day. Even if you want to get up and get drinks, like you're liable to lose your spot there. So it's like, has this weird, like claustrophobic kind of vibe to it too, where I guess that's like part of the appeal, like being at a music festival. But when the conditions aren't perfect, that's when things go bad.
I think the music, like outdoor music concert, like that's the best comparable. Like when you're pushed up against the fence and you're like, I can't even leave for drinks or piss or anything now. My buddies did that when I was there for a stag or whatever. We went straight from the bar to the lineup basically. So they did like the whole overnight, then get there at like 3 a.m. And I was like, no chance. I'm going home. I'll see you guys at 10 maybe. Like I was like, I'm not waiting there.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I'm happy to have checked it out, but I'm not, chomping at the bit to go run it back. And it is funny. Like I will say the best part of it is by far the people watching. Like I know there was golf to, watch and it was cool getting to see some of those shots up close. But I mean, the amount of just incredible people watching there is it's phenomenal.
What do we say we jump in some dinger stuff here? Why don't we start with your team from last year, Pete? We gotta check this thing out, see how you navigated your way to an advancement there. Let's see here. All right.
Yeah, so here it is. The one draft, I did it with you guys. You were my co-pilots, and then we had tons of friends and family in here. And one of my only memories of this draft was you guys would kind of like talk me through some viable options. And I just said, who has the most upside? Like who's the biggest, figurative swing for the fences pick. And I think we just made those selections at basically every step of the way.
We absolutely did. This team is littered with just like high ceiling, low floor picks. But I think it's what's like most amazing about this team to me is you have 3 award winners on this team. You nailed the MVP in Ronald Acuna. You have the Rookie of the Year in Corbin Carroll, and you have the Cy Young Award winner in Blake Snell. Like that is like unheard of to just destroy these picks.
Blake Snell was the best pitcher in baseball last year
in the National League, yeah.
And people were starting to hit us with the love your infielders and outfielders, getting a little worried about your pitchers. Like people were spooked about our pitchers. I thought we were going full punt, and you're telling me we hit like the league winning punt pitcher.
It could not have been better executed for a 0 pitcher strategy, which is just like, oh, I'm so proud of this. Like this is better than any other team I had in my own portfolio.
This is the equivalent of getting Tyreek Hill in the first round, getting Kyron Williams later as like the anchor to the running back to the 0 RB right there. And then who would be nailing Rookie of the Year? Like getting Puka in the last round was like getting Corbin Carroll.
Yes. Like Corbin Carroll was an absolute smash. What
was Carroll's closing line ADP? Because he was screaming up, right?
Mm-hmm. He finished in like the 30s, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and then in the resurrection contest, he was flirting with like back end first round. And then you'll see in our contest this year, he's like 8-9, 7-8-9
Really?
range. Yeah,
Mhm.
eerily
Wow.
similar to Puka, man. Eerily similar.
Yeah.
That's funny. So what were some of the like macro trends that, whether it's like zero pitcher stuff like that, was there anything that hit in a big way, or is there like new metas this year to drafting strategies that are different from last?
Definitely. So last year we saw the beginning of this like outfield run meta, and it felt kind of wild. But we thought outfield early, but we got to get aces. Like we know who the good pitchers are. We got to thrust them up. Now we're like outfield early, but actually like the pitchers just don't matter. So now we have pitchers wildly decrease in value. Outfield, like you're gonna notice like first 10 picks are outfield, and then like then the next like 15 out of 20 picks are infield. So it's like a clump of like tiers that go. And then pitcher just all the way down is just like incredibly depressed. So it's very similar. John kind of nailed it and calling it like zero RB with the pitching last season. It very much took the course of running backs in terms of the value of the position when it comes to capital for pitcher. But we got some good pitchers that are hiding in the middle of these drafts that we're gonna put on your team.
Is there anything comparable to, one of the huge things with zero RB, especially if you're drafting now, is all of the landmines, right? Free agency, draft, even injuries, obviously throughout training camp, preseason. Like, is there anything analogous for, is there more risk to taking pitchers now than right before when the season starts?
I don't think so, John. Would you agree? Like, there's no like the timing of like taking pictures is sort of like irrelevant. I feel like it applies to everybody in that regard.
Yeah, I think they're the most volatile in terms of as news goes through spring training, and as you hear like so and so's velo's down, so and so's not fully ramped up in terms of pitch count, so and so's whatever. I think the comparison aligns in terms of their volatility for sure. In terms of like and maybe injury risk as well, like just because like they are the most susceptible to that. So I think that comparison definitely holds. Yeah.
What did the team that took down the Dinger look like last year from a construction standpoint?
Well, wasn't in the finals.
So we haven't located what it looks like.
It's out there.
No. It is, but it was like way more hodgepodgey and amassed than we would like to give our principals credit. So
Gotcha.
It wasn't like seeing Karanes and being like, "Oh, week 17 matters and zero RB and look at this." The team was pretty rough looking.
Draft the best players.
The thing about baseball that's like really tough is, and this is what's causing the pitcher depression, is that the best pitcher that you want to have, because like, week 17 is all that matters. You want the pitchers that are going to throw 2 starts in 1 week in the finals. You can't know that right now. So it's like everybody is just kind of like agnostic to pitcher because of that. But it's like, imagine if, you are drafting a running back and, oh yeah, he gets like 20 more touches than everybody else, and it's at random in the fantasy playoffs. You want that guy, but there is just no way to know it. So really, it's been impossible to optimize like year over year based on the winner. Like you really can't just like take these principles, but we do have certain principles that we're taking, and a lot of that is in terms of like the value of hitters and like what you can control, and that is the scoring that you get from your bats.
Yeah, I think to layer on to that, Nez, I think 2 of the biggest principles that we now have like quantifiable data behind that we didn't in the past, and we just kind of like thought this was the right way to play, is the stacking of hitters for sure. And now we can see that, hey, this is literally paying dividends, even if that, they're not hitting 2, 3, 4 and actually affecting each other in a given game. Just the fact that, they're in a series against the same bad team for 3 games or whatever, something like that. So that one's big. And that the winning of the flex primarily comes through infield, and coming through infield in targeting guys that are not accumulators, not get on base guys, but are isolated power, guys that put dingers together, hence the name of the contest.
So how much, for someone like me who's starting from essentially zero, outside of knowing like 6 guys who are on my team last year, how much of it can just like macro construction and reading spreadsheets, having good ranks, like how far does that get you in this game relative to football where there sometimes can be more nuance?
I think very far.
Yeah.
Like very far.
I think baseball spreadsheets will get you further than any other sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one sport where like you can do 0 eye test and 0 ball watching and know what you're talking about and know like who is valuable for, especially from a fantasy standpoint.
And I mean, and also like at least when people talk about like knowing ball in the NFL, like watching what condensed version of games and stuff, it's actually doable. Like if you really carved out the time for it. I mean, with baseball, right? It's unfathomable to watch every pitch. Has someone done that?
Watch
as
who
a
you're
bit?
talking to, man.
Have you watched every single pitch of every game?
Man, when it's peak baseball season, I've got 4 games on this screen and then like 4 games on this screen, and then it's just like pitch, 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 pitch. Like you can just follow like pitch by pitch. It's really easy to multi-table your sweats in baseball. But I mean, I'm not analyzing every.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, there's a difference between sweating. Do you think are there things you pick up on that then help? Like for NBA, right? People start to know the coaching, like rotations and stuff for how they're allocating minutes and understand they might do something different on a back-to-back. Like, is there that kind of nuance that can actually help you with drafting?
I think there's a couple things. There's definitely the eyeball test associated with pitching in particular, like velo down, guys adding new pitches, spin rates on pitches. This pitch looks better than that. A lot of it's quantifiable in like, baseball savant or something like that, but like actually seeing it and seeing like, hey, a guy's, he wasn't throwing changeups to righties low and away, and now this is a new thing in his arsenal. So we can then say this is why this is happening. So that aspect of it for sure. And then the other one is the same thing as rotations, where it's like, okay, this lineup versus lefties has been doing this recently. This lineup versus righties has been doing this recently. Okay, maybe there's going to be a little more added value to X player because he's leading off versus lefties, or he's, going to hit 4 when every projection model thinks he's going to hit 7, right? And just like the added little incremental boost that sort of thing adds. But it probably plays more for the dailies than the season long stuff, because the season long stuff has a way of kind of ironing those wrinkles out as the season goes.
That makes sense. What do people adhere pretty close to ADP in these drafts, or based on your construction, can that send you off on like a different path where you're not necessarily competing for the same pocket of players as everyone else?
I find that there's a lot of like people just getting their guys. It's definitely like baseball season is just 3-month long, like get your guy season. And I am definitely in that boat. I was looking at my exposures. I've done like 50 drafts of like dingers and perfect games, which is like the main contest and the $100 contest. And I kind of forgot that it's not dailies where 16% is average. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm pretty average on a lot of guys. Pretty much like everybody I draft, I'm like double the field on, and sometimes even like 50% over. And a lot of that is just, taking principles from other draft season, like seeing like Easy's BBM portfolio and the way that played out really made me, kind of rethink how I'm constructing best ball portfolios, and seeing the way daily, like people in the Discord are sharing their daily portfolios, like every slate, and seeing like what it takes to smash. And it's kind of obvious. We've been saying this for a while. You can't diversify your way to $1 million. More and more, I am like finding that to be like incredibly true. So I'm really like trying to take more conviction in my plays. And I've noticed that across the board too, where people are getting their guys.
I also think in baseball is considerably different than football, where it's like infielder in the 8th round can be fractions of points depending of which projection model you're looking at, different than like infielder in the 20th. But in football, like you could never have a running back in the 8th round that is going to be projecting very closely to one who's in the 18th, right? And I think that's one of the biggest differences. Like so many of these pieces are interchangeable within like 100 underdog scoring points over the course of an entirety of season, that construction principles bear out who you should take in certain instances.
I think to an extreme, you just sort of described like the RB dead zone, like, or the former RB dead zone to an extreme extent. But like, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like the margins are much thinner in baseball, much closer.
And would you say though, like that strategy, and I think it works a lot better, sit that extremely overweight, the conviction going in on your guys when you do have more domain knowledge. Whereas say I end up doing 25 dingers, it'd be a pretty aspirational number.
Get there.
But it would probably make sense for me to be more on average with the field with my exposures, right?
I mean, if you're somebody that really doesn't know what's going on, I don't think necessarily like being average. I think weighting yourself more towards like the major ADP values based on a projection source.
So you're saying once I have my rankings, trust those and don't be afraid to be overweight relative to what those are saying are the values.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that would overwhelmingly be my advice.
There's basically like 5 or 6 really, really good models for baseball that you can see stark differences between all those models, and they're all very good. Like it's different than, if you drag and drop ETR's ranks into a big board right now, like maybe you're getting like 6 points of like ADP value or whatever on like a 12th rounder. In baseball, like the 12th rounder can go undrafted in 2 of the 6 projection models, or can be like 120th overall in the other 4.
Right. And then I assume, do some people aggregate all of those and then
that's called ATC.
Yeah,
so there is a model that does it.
Mm-hmm. That way you don't have to do it yourself. It's like John said, it is called ATC, and they aggregate everything. And then Cardi, who does the BAT and the BAT X, he gets his playing time numbers from ATC, but everything else he does, he's calculating himself. And one thing I think is interesting, we talked with Cardi on Stacking Dingers, me and Dark Sheep. He actually calculates his own park factors. He doesn't go off of public data of park factors. So what that means is like the park where the Cincinnati Reds play in, everybody knows that you hit a lot more home runs in there, but Cardi in his own, in his own ingredients and his own sauce that he's not necessarily like sharing, has his own opinions about different parks. So you kind of get that baked in with the projections, but I just found that pretty interesting. Like he's not like in full agreement with park factors, but these things are taken into account in these other models as well.
So the dome boner extends to the MLB.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, does it ever?
Yes, that's sir.
That's where
many are suggesting that's where it originates. Lefties in Milwaukee is the Atlanta Falcons equivalent for Cardi. Lefties in Milwaukee is his secret sauce.
So how much of like the underdog scoring system, like if you have, so you talk about these systems, are they ranking them in a way that lines up with the underdog scoring system, or is there special sauce to orienting those types of projections to underdog drafts?
That's what our guy Baseball does for us, and I'll drop that in the chat for everyone. The renowned hashtag sheet. We got to start renaming these sheets because we have so many hashtag sheets now. But this, the one that I just dropped in the chat there, and I can show after. He basically ports the BATX and ATC to the scoring system of Underdog, and then you can make your own assessment from there.
And then, are there some people who will draft off of the kind of aggregated ATC? Some will use, say, just Cardis, and then when you're in a draft, can you tell like, oh, you're drafting off of Cardi, you're drafting off of the aggregate, you're drafting off of whoever's?
I think a lot of people have like their own convictions about this stuff. I think people are like leaning on projections, but for the most part, like the people that are in the Discord, they really do have like their own thoughts and their own like teams that they're stacking. Like I know Easy, for example, not the Docs, like his strategy, like he's going for a team like the Angels, where people are kind of treating them. I'm not calling them this season's Rams, But, they're a team that's being written off. They're like, hey, nobody, like this team stinks. We don't want this team. But if you look at the projections will tell you there's a handful of guys in this Angels lineup that actually project to be above average. So there's a chance they can give you really usable weeks. And they play around one of the best players in baseball, Mike Trout. So people really are kind of like finding their own paths, but it kind of starts with projections and then deciding whether or not you agree or disagree based on, your priors or whatever you want to weight more.
I think the depth of the player pool also makes it damn near impossible to be drawing dead in baseball. Like even like last year's team, like you look at it on paper and it's like, probably wouldn't have created that ever, but it won. Whereas I think football, the principles are so like well known and so widely shared now, and the deviations between like each given player are so small that it's become way harder to beat. I think baseball like kind of like opens up the third eye in terms of like, man, our last 4 picks in this, they could all be 240 plus ADPs. And that's totally fine. And it'll project very similarly or within like 100 to 200 underdog points of people staying tethered to ADP.
Yeah, you see that bear itself out in the dailies. I was just saying, you see that bear itself out in the dailies a lot too, where like people will onslaught like one of the worst teams on the slate, and because like no one else has it, like that team can very easily get home, and like you'll just never see anything close to that in a in an NFL daily format. It just simply would not happen. So it's kind of interesting. Like, yeah, it's projectable on like the long term, but in the micro, like shit, anything can happen. People just kind of throw their hands up at that point. There's best plays, but in the micro, really anything can happen. And that's what we're dealing with when it comes to the playoffs is a 2-week, 2 1-week sprints. So that's what kind of, it's like two separate games we're trying to play.
So what leads to like, say a guy like Corbin Carroll last year, steaming up draft boards? Because a lot of this is just having a really large sample size of who these guys are as players, and you kind of know what you're going to get. So what causes such, big ADP jumps?
Corbin Carroll, I think, was really interesting because you typically don't see this level of steam in baseball. You are seeing it lately. Corbin Carroll had a couple things going for him. And John, if you want to like add or correct me on this, like one is he got like a really big contract before he like, he played a little bit of Major League Baseball before this season when he like really debuted truly and like played pretty well. And then he got a contract extension like immediately. And he had like a cup of coffee under his belt. So that was like, okay, there's a bullish signal. And then just like prospect evaluators were just like gushing over this kid. And they were just like so adamant that he was like the real deal. As much as an eye test can tell you, it was telling you that he was indeed the real deal. And people just like bought in, and everyone was just like really into the shiny new toy. And he just, found himself in the 3rd round by closing of Dinger.
I think 2 things. It's the tools, like just like what we look for in baseball in terms of fantasy scoring versus like actually playing baseball is just like the ability to run matters like so much. And the combination of like power plus speed is just what gives you this kind of like untapped ceiling associated with it. And then the other one is when we evaluate prospects in NFL circles, there's so much that is like gray area where it's like, oh yeah, but he played in such and such a conference and didn't face good talent, and they played in a spread offense and he got 15 targets a game. What is he going to do against press coverage? What he's going to do? And we kind of got to like make that shit up. Like those narratives, we kind of have to be like, well, he's never seen this. Let's project what he could do. With baseball, it's like, no. He was facing guys in AAA who were throwing 100 miles per hour, who were, on the verge of being a step away, or guys that were on rehab assignments and are actually big leaguers. And we have a sample of what he actually does performing against that caliber of opponent. Whereas like you can poke holes in, and just use anyone as an example. You could use Rome as an example. Odunze like this season, and be like, well, he didn't play in the SEC. He didn't face such and such a corners. He was the focal point of the offense and he got funneled 15 targets. Now let's take all his numbers with a grain of salt. Whereas like baseball, it's way more quantifiable. It's like, hey, he had 5 at-bats every single day against big league competition. How did he fare in those? Oh, okay, that makes sense. It's like less guesswork, I guess, would be a long-winded way of saying.
So Before I hop in, we hop in a draft. What are the things I need to do? Being very realistic with how much time I'm going to spend on this. What are the most high value things I can do to draft solid teams going forward?
I would say allocating for the most part like 7s and 6s to your position. So whether that be 7-7-6, 7-6-7, etc., is probably a good idea based on like the amount of draft capital that you're allocating. And the second thing for my money is don't draft Ellie De La Cruz.
I would say stacking principles are probably along with the structural one. That would be kind of like the 101, and the 102 would be the stacking principles of like, let's try and get 8 stacked hitters, 6 to 8 stacked hitters in each of these lineups, but let's cap it at kind of 3 per team as like a quick and dirty math rule. And then treat pitcher like running back. If you take one early, that's your hero RB. That's your top of there, and build out infield as your flex position.
Is there? You mentioned kind of a big reaction to pitchers getting devalued this year. Has that formed an equivalent like pitcher dead zone where there's some nice values because no one wants to touch them?
Oh yeah,
very much so.
Around pick like 90 to 100, that's where like some of my favorite pitchers like in a vacuum live, let alone just at cost. So hopefully we don't get sniped on some of those guys. I'm very much an open book on who some of those pitchers are, but for today's stream, we'll try to keep that under wraps.
Awesome. Should I hop into a draft here?
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
All right. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. That was the draft board screen. So I'm going to share a different screen here. There we go. Okay. So you said there was $100. Should we just do a regular dinger here?
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever your heart desires.
I mean, let's make the chat rats.
Let's
nice.
see. Here we go.
How many do we need here? Okay, we need 7 more. Can we do this? That would be awesome if we could get this.
I'll hop in.
Snapville.
I'll hop in if need be, or we can both hop in if need be.
Yeah, I've got some left.
Oh yeah, I forgot the. It might take longer to fill here.
Well, let's see. The stream's catching up. John, are you in or no?
I am not in. No.
We need 3. Do you want to do it? I don't know what's good stream etiquette. Should we let the audience?
Yeah, let the audience go for a second, and then if it struggles, I'll go. I'll
yeah, we're 3 away.
Okay. If we linger at 2 for more than 2 minutes, I'm in.
We just made the company so much money. Everybody's rushing to deposit right now to try to get in on this dinger stream. They can't.
Well, when did these lock?
March 30, 38 days or something.
So is it people want to, if they're going to do the higher stakes, backload it closer to lock?
Yeah.
There's also just kind of a more niche community than in football thus far. It's kind of what we're learning. The $10 will rapid fill, but the higher dollar ones, we got to keep pushing.
There's 2 seats left.
30 seconds and then I'm in.
All right.
One more seat.
Oh, we're back to 2.
Back to 2. Who saw it filling up and then
somebody got cold feet.
They were like, Pete's making a convincing case to draft this later, closer to lock.
These are fun advance rates here too, because it's 4 out of 12 in the first round, so you can really like get crazy.
Oh, there we go.
3 out of 10. 2 out of 9, and then a 24-person final, and it's $700 for making the final too.
Beautiful. All right, we got a decision point here.
This is where we drafted last year, right? 103.
Yep. And we got Acuna. We got Acuna, aka the 101, to fall to us last year. You'll see that Acuna has the 1-0, like the flat ADP. Right now of like certifiably the 101.
That is crazy. I don't know the last time I've seen that.
Yeah, right. In any sport.
Who else is in here? I see Sheep creeping at the 110. Dog Bowl
we got the
champ.
Dog Bowl champ, baby.
I love the crossover. It's been it's a long season, a short off season, but a long off season as far as like remembering who the baseball dogs are. Like I forgot that our boy Wu Tang Matt was a big time ball player too. We got Kirk in here waiting 2 days. Yeah, these things are people are definitely waiting to.
What just happened at the 1?
Oh come on, dude!
Is that just a completely off the board pick?
Oh, brother.
Who was it? I can't even read it.
Lamea how?
Oh my god.
Who do we take, guys?
Soto or Judge?
Soto's probably more rare if this is an off the board pick, right?
Yeah, this is crazy. We'll have to see what he does at the 2-3.
Are you saying this might get thrown out?
Yeah. Which
like
is
DJ LeMahieu goes undrafted a lot, and for
so
him
what
to
do we
go
do?
1-0-1. I don't know.
DJ LeMahieu's like Adam Thielen, but like actually dusty. No chance of any sort of like early season production. Just real life dust.
So is this someone who thought they were entering a 10, accidentally entered 100, and now is like trying to get it canceled, not realizing that's going to have like worse long-term effects for their account?
I have no idea what the thought process to.
Could it even be like a pick like I think we know almost everybody in here, right? Or maybe he's 11's buddy.
I'll give benefit of the doubt that they could have been sitting in this lobby for a long period of time waiting for this to start, because as John mentioned in the chat, he's been waiting in this lobby for 2 days for this to start because the hundreds have been filling so infrequently, and he could just have a queue like already pulled up, like, oh yeah, I wanted to do a whatever stack, and then he starred those players, and then the draft started unbeknownst to him.
Always got to make sure you put DJ LeMahieu at the top of your queue. You know, you don't want to miss out on him in your Yankee stack.
Playing devil's advocate for potential, but yeah.
All right, so we'll know after the 2-3 turn if it was a queue mistake that they're going to recover from, or if they're going to torpedo the whole thing.
Yeah, easy. This is indeed a perfect game, DJ LeMahieu. Not even in your wildest dreams as a Yankee fanboy would you have gotten this far. But, the principles of this remain the same, Pete. As you can see, I mean, this is the start of every draft, no matter what lobby, minus DJ LeMahieu, is this run of outfielders. And you'll probably see one more here, unless this guy has a wild card up his sleeve, where it's typically one more outfield, and it's like 10 outfielders, no matter what, to start these drafts off, which is interesting. Because by raw points, the infield, like the next 5 infielders that go before like this player Kyle Tucker are going to outscore him in season long, which is makes you think, like, are we actually drafting this optimally or not? Are we capitulating too much into the outfield, scarcity, which is extremely real?
Yeah.
But
so if you wanted to get,
what's that?
If you wanted to get over the field on like any infielder, you could have them at a 100% frequency, which is very different drafting dynamic than any other sport we play.
Is Spencer Strider, is he the universal best pitcher off the board?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got his flaws, but nobody, like, he's going to outpace in strikeouts by 30. Maybe even more than that, like to the second closest in strikeouts. His flaw is that he gives up a lot of like home runs. So he'll have outings where, we have this thing called a quality start, where if you go 6 innings, give up less than 3 runs, you get an extra, you get bonus points as a pitcher. Well, Strider will have outings where he'll be like 1 out short of 6 innings with like 13 strikeouts, and then like 4 earned runs, because he's just like all or nothing as a pitcher. So he kind of has, some frustrating range of outcomes, but when he hits, he is, very much guy you need. And if Spencer Strider is putting up 2 starts in the finals and in one of those 2 weeks, then he definitely has that range of outcomes of like no Strider, no cash.
Nice. Was there anything else to mention about our Soto pick?
People are
there?
split between Soto and Judge. Soto's the safer pick, which, we typically would have been Judge people, but okay, here we go.
Do you want safe and boring, or do you want fun, young, and maybe still exciting?
I think you know the answer to that question.
I think we take Vlad here.
You want to go Vlad? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Vlad is a projections darling, so we'll be spreadsheet nerds here. Derek Carty is famously really high on Vlad this season. He had a really down season last year, and I mean, he had 1,300 points, which isn't bad, but unlike what we expected from Vlad, he was down last season. So Carty expects a bounce back, and you can stack him up with his teammates pretty easily because, like, oddly enough, like the entire Blue Jays team had a down season. All right, so Kyle Manzardo.
Is that another off the board pick?
Sure is.
Yeah.
What about?
He takes Adolis. Adolis
Weird.
Garcia is a good pick though, so we can just business as usual, and we'll see 3-4 turn.
Yeah. I think you take any one of the
4-5.
first 4, and I kind of lean the Randy Rosarina one because of the backstack potential and the outfield designation. What do you think?
Yep, I think Randy's the pick here. Randy's exciting. He's a clutch player. He gets a lot of boost because he shows up in the postseason, but he hits home runs, he steals, and he has a lot of teammates that go like way late. So he's really easy to stack.
I think we had Devers on our team last year.
I think so too. We definitely. I can see us being Devers people. I'll let me look here. Yeah, we did.
He's underpriced yet again. Like he's such a stud.
John was laughing because on that team last season, we finished up with Daniel Vogelbach, which is just like an objectively terrible pick. But I think we did that just because of his stature, which is just like too funny to ignore.
Oh yeah, I remember. I think we pulled up his swing or something.
Yeah, big fella. I mean, looks they call him Danny Burgers. I mean, just huge. We have Daniel Vogelbach replacements. We can find the next Danny Vogelbach, and they can actually be a worthwhile pick. We'll get there when we get there, but.
Remind me of the what was the run out? I see Bryce Harper goes at 17 to our dog bowl champ. I remember when we were selecting him last year, he was a polarizing pick, right? Where it was like he was going to be out for a good amount of time. What was the run out on him last year?
Yeah, he came back slightly earlier than anticipated, came back around the All-Star break. There were rumors that the early season rumors were like, hey, maybe he'll be back by the All-Star break. And then as, spring kind of ramped up and kept going, that timeline kept getting closer and closer to the other side of the All-Star break. And then he ended up coming back and he ended up crushing as well. They moved him to first base and yeah, he DH'd a lot and just, he was on fire. He was great. He was one of the best picks of last year.
And it's interesting because, like, imagine, like, in BBM, a player switching positions, going from running back to wide receiver, which is what we have here. Bryce Harper, outfield last year, switches to DH or first base full time because of the Tommy John surgery and the way that the team is constructed. So now he's an infielder, kind of unprecedented, and definitely docks his value. He would probably be in that like 9-10 pick range if he had outfield designation, but because he's an infielder, he gets docked a few spots, but still one of the best hitters in baseball.
Anything else interesting unfolding in this draft other than our potential sabotager here?
I mean, 4 pitchers through 4 rounds is, not a lot, but it's kind of par for the course, and it's just like not what we saw last season. Last season, we thought, get your aces, they separate. So I just think it's really interesting the way that things have like changed dramatically. And I'm definitely like following suit. I'm getting my guys at pitcher, but it's just, I'm still really not quite used to it. I think we have like a couple candidates for this season's Corbin Carroll, though, which I think would be fun to talk about. And one of them just went to Enthreus in Nolan Jones. He's been screaming up boards, and there's an argument that he's still like not going high enough because of like his profile, which is just one that provides like immense spike weeks because he has power, he can steal bases, and he plays in the forward field of baseball. in Coors Field. So he's definitely one that I want to get more of. I don't have a ton of him yet, just because the price just seemingly keeps getting more and more expensive.
All right, we are coming up here in the 4th round. So we got Soto, Vladimir for our infield, Randy. How do you say it? Arozarena?
Oh yeah, perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, just
Nailed
like it sounds. So what are we going to be looking at here in the 4th?
Voice of reason from Neumy just came down here. Do we want to just hop in a dinger and push the plane on this?
We can try to like speed run a dinger if like we can get the audience to buy in. If you push a plane on this, it sounds like he literally said it's
getting tossed. So
who said it's getting tossed?
Neumy did.
Neumy. All right. If it's getting tossed, then yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. Push the plane, guys, and then
if we can get some quick trigger fingers in this next stinger, that way we can get Pete out of here in a full hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dinger.
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right. Speed run,
9
guys.
spots. Perfect.
All right. Fastest.
Yeah. Let's actually speed run this though, because Pete does have a hard out, and we want to get this one in. So please and thank you.
The account is under investigation. You're screwed, buddy.
Who would have thought that it would have been the $100 draft that had the rogue drafter, not the $10?
That's the ultimate scumbag move. I mean, it's never cool to throw a draft, but I mean, for $100 to do that, that's insane. All right, we got the Woo Woo J train at the 101, so we know this thing is getting off to a hot start. Woo Woo, friend of the show.
Go.
Oh, and now we really have to get creative, Pete. So
we're gonna be on the outside of the outfielder run.
Almost certainly. So we can kind of talk about this ahead of time. John, what do you think? Do we make one of these picks Strider, or do we just like hammer infield and just absolutely dominate the infield position in the flex with raw points? That sounded a little, that little innuendo
Crazy.
in there, unintentional.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think?
I like the latter of the two plans. I like the hammer infield, make it contrarian, backstack outfield, and see what happens here. I think the normal meta. The other thing we could do is we could push out Trout, and we can have some fun like that too. And we can have a contrarian side of this board run out with Mike Trout coming all the way up to 14. But combos wise, not as concerned about it in baseball as like football with a Galbrain idea like that. So I like the two infield together.
Okay. I guess you can have the final say, Pete. Do you want to take a chance on the guy, the perpetually hurt but played 120 games last year out of 162 guy you need in Mike Trout, or do we want to just like dominate projected raw points in infield?
So who's the NFL comparable to Mike Trout? The perpetually, is he
pre-23 CMC?
Yeah, I was gonna say Austin Eckler.
Okay.
Like, or going way back, like Arian Foster.
I'm down to clackety-clack on that.
It is a big reach, though, I will say.
Oh, okay.
It's a very big reach.
Where's his ADP?
22.
I don't feel like we're speed running this, by the way, too. Aren't these supposed to be the easiest picks?
They are the easiest picks, but we've got a couple people who I am unfamiliar with.
No, I'll default to you guys, whatever you think is. We can definitely get weirder in this since we're in Dinger.
Yeah, true.
I think the meta with the infield early kind of runs itself parallel to like taking two quarterbacks in your first like 4 to 5 rounds.
I don't know.
It's kind of like.
We're gonna get an outfielder, so.
Oh. All right.
So did we have a rogue pick? Was it a
good rogue pick though? Freddie Freeman definitely is a candidate for points leader, let alone infield points leader.
So I think take Tucker.
Yeah, we like Kyle Tucker.
All right,
great lineup, steals bases. Yeah, and he doesn't wear batting gloves, so It's always it's always a plus. Yeah, he's got a good lineup around him. Like the Astros should be one of the better teams. Oh, okay. So Strider Olsen goes. What do you think here, John? I think this might be Bobby Witt for me, man.
Yeah, Bobby Witt's the sexiest pick on the board, and I think that lines up with what Pete wants.
Yeah,
like Bobby Witt is the guy. Bobby Witt is Bijan, but we've seen him already do the Bijan thing as a rookie. Yeah,
I just looked him up. I didn't envision Bobby Witt looking like this.
Yeah, he's kind of got. Are you looking at him when he has the Colonel Sanders facial hair? He's kind of got like the long mustache with the goatee. Yeah, a little strange. But
I like it.
Yeah, he's got it going on. He's he does everything that you want a guy that you could potentially need to do in hit bombs, play a lot, steal a lot of bases. Which stolen bases are not like the end all be all. They're only 4 points, which is just one more point than a single. But if you do it a lot, it adds up, and he certainly does.
There's easy taking Mike Trout. Love it.
What's the deal with Ohtani these days? He's hurt right now?
So he had Tommy John surgery, right? It was Tommy John. So he can't pitch.
It's basically the exact same thing as as Harper last year, but he can play through it earlier.
And and we had this conversation last year. You're drafting him as a hitter, so the pitching stuff doesn't matter.
And he's not going to pitch at all this year.
But he is able to hit, and he is already hitting.
Yeah, in his first BP session, he hit 11 bombs on the first 20 pitches. He's nice.
Yeah, so
dude hits tanks. He's awesome.
The Dodgers are going to be just like really like next level. There's a couple teams that are just like unbelievably talented. The Dodgers are one where like picks one or in their batting order 1 through 7, it's a bunch of guys that could be like the best hitters on quite a few teams in baseball. So they're just going to rack up points, and it's just going to, it's like a domino effect, a chain reaction of, one player doing well allows another player to get more ABs. So that's why like correlation in baseball is so underrated and so strong, because your teammates doing well allow you to get more, it's like a wide receiver doing well allows a running back to get more touches because it extends the game. It's pretty powerful and still like way underutilized.
It's like Justin Jefferson going to the Chiefs. Is Ohtani going to the Dodgers?
Yeah.
Except for he's probably better than Justin Jefferson. Like, it's nuts.
It's pretty fun.
All right. Was that the thing you tweeted out the other day? Was that Ohtani at batting practice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you jerk off to a swing.
Okay.
Why you so offended?
It's Valentine's Day, all right? A little self-love never hurt anybody.
Too timely. So we're coming up soon, but after this, I think we can maybe talk about some exciting rookies that maybe are on our radar. I can maybe try to talk Pete into.
Let's pitch Pete Ellie De La Cruz and let him make the decision.
Okay. I think that could be a lot of fun. You want to pitch it to him or pitch it against him? Oh, well, here we are.
Seconds. Yeah.
Oh, dude, this has to be an outfielder. Harris and Reynolds. So Ellie De La Cruz, there's a metric, Pete, that tells you how valuable a pitcher is compared to league average. Ellie De La Cruz projects below league average as a value of a hitter, but he does hit a lot of home runs potentially, and he does steal a lot of home bases if he can get on base. But
which outfielder are we taking? I thought
Harris.
Because Ines behind us hasn't taken an outfielder, so he would probably would have double tapped those.
I think so, and Ellie is a very split type of player, because there are people that are just so best ball pilled that are like, Ellie could be the guy you need, so I'm taking him. He could have just an unbelievable 2-week stretch.
You went on like a tirade of sell you this pen, and the Ellie is Devin Achan. Like, that's what he is.
It's disrespectful to Devin Achan. Unbelievably disrespectful to Achan. Like, incredibly disrespectful to Achan.
It's like he could be worse than league average and get 10 touches a game, or he could be the guy you need and break the models.
He's like Are you ready for this year's Will Fuller? Oh my god!
I mean, I had the snap pick once you said Achane.
He's Achane.
Oh, easy.
Dude,
He's
Achane meets MVS, man. It's exactly what he is. Like
meets MVS.
Yes.
How does that comp even? Okay, now I'm scared.
You should be scared. You should be scared, Pete. You absolutely should be scared.
You definitely should be scared. But like the nut run out of Ellie is he's Fernando Tatis, and you're getting like a first round player in the 4th round. The bear case of Ellie is he's fully replaceable by a 20th rounder.
33% of the time he's at the plate, Pete, Ellie De La Cruz is going to strike out. 33% of the time. He slugs worse than a handful, maybe half of the second baseman in the league. That is like the lowest slugging position, like one of the lowest slugging positions in baseball. He slugged 410 last season. 410. That is not good for somebody that is being drafted at this range. But he did steal a lot of bases, so there's that. And he did hit a lot of home runs and had a cool radio call in the middle of hitting that home run. So extremely marketable, very fun player. I wish him the best. He's just not worth an early 4th round pick in the slightest. It's just not even close.
Wow, I didn't know that this was going to be so divisive.
But he's the most decisive player on the board for sure. Like him and Jazz Chisholm are the two most polarizing.
John, can you name just like a random like vanilla player that I can compare like the bat to Ellie De La Cruz just to like put this into perspective? Or Pete, if you know any baseball player that just like isn't good.
Well, I wouldn't say like isn't good isn't fair. Like, do you want someone who's still getting drafted in the player pool, or do you want someone who's not?
In the player pool, I guess. I'm just trying to help you. I'm just trying to help me help you guys. That's all.
Well, do it with DJ LeMahieu because he went 1st overall in the other draft. That's probably pretty good.
Oh, wow. Okay. Based on like 2024 projections, this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
He slugs way better.
You guys should you need to make an Ellie short. It doesn't hurt that he sounds like a hot Spanish actress.
And he's swaggy as hell too. Like he wears the chains, he goes like this and shit. Like he's fun as hell for baseball. It's just all the projection bros hate him and all the marketing teams love him. And we don't know what's going to happen with him. It's really good.
I mean, are you familiar with like a triple slash? If I say that, do you know?
I've had a few of those in my day. No, I have no clue.
All right. Well, Ellie is going to, on average, get a base hit, according to the BatX Cardi system, 25% of the time, 253 average. He's going to get on base, so that includes taking a walk, 31% of the time, 313 on base percentage, and then a slug of 434, which is, essentially a metric of how often are you going to have extra base hits with 20 home runs. Okay. And then we have DJ LeMahieu, who like shouldn't be drafted, that is going to get a base hit on average 25% of the time.
Shouldn't be drafted. The 101 in the highest stakes baseball draft on UnderdogFantasy.com.
I don't know. I don't know ball. 252 average, 327 on base percentage compared to Ellie De La Cruz's 313 on base percentage. So, that goes to DJ LeMahieu, and then a 360 slugging, which isn't good. But just shy of Ellie De La Cruz's 434.
Let's stack Ozuna here.
You want to go Ozuna? I would rather go Kodai Senga, but
who? Quick, give me a name.
Senga, second from the top.
Thank you. I needed that.
Senga's going to dominate. He plays in a good park for pitchers, and gets a lot of strikeouts. It's a good anchor pitcher. Like he last season, he's a 3rd round pick.
I just saw 6 pitchers at the top of the board, and I didn't really care which one, but I really wanted Ozuna as like the stack and outfield designation, and Atlanta playing in Coors in the finals and stuff like that. And then you just take whichever pitcher comes back. You think Senga's that much better than the tier?
I think Ozuna has playing time concerns with.
He could with Kelnick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, let's maybe take pitcher off the. I mean, there's so many pitchers here. Oh my goodness. I like Jordan Walker.
Jordan Walker's a good sell for Pete.
Yeah, Jordan Walker is up and coming.
Rookie last year who came up, had a good, hitting streak to start his career, then struggled a little bit, and now you're getting a little bit of a discount on him comparative to if he had smashed last year, and he's got like big power upside.
I'm sold.
Yeah, you're gonna like Jordan Walker. This is like the young, exciting player that isn't getting as much love as I would have expected him to get. Plays for the Cardinals, a good baseball team, and Walker crushed the minor leagues. Didn't have like a fantastic debut, but will play every day and has big time upside. All right, I mean,
this is how you
he's a highlight machine.
He's a highlight machine. Right? He's like, everything is Ellie's amazing. Ellie hits for a cycle. Ellie, he steals second, third home. His first ever home run went like completely out of the park all the way to like the top upper echelon rafters in there. He plays in a good park. He's a switch hitter. He's like what baseball wants to be successful. All the models hate him. But when you Google his name, this is what you see. So like the casual fans in your home league draft, he's going to go in like the second and third round, because he's the next big sexy thing. But in actual fact, from a projection standpoint, he might just be like replacement level.
I love it. I think you guys should just rebrand the entire show around Ellie De La Cruz debates.
I think that would go well for us. Yeah, but I mean, like by all accounts, man, he's just like an okay bat. My like actual like real take is like I think people are over projecting like the home runs that he's going to hit just because he hit a couple really, really far.
Yeah, that's fair.
It sounds like the actual comp for how polarized it feels more like where people were taking Kadarius Toney in the 7th round, and some people were like, I wouldn't take him with a 14th round pick, and some people are like, his upside's underpriced by 2 rounds.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's kind of like that one, or the exact same narrative with McCole Hardman 2 years ago when he was at like the 3-4 turn. Yeah.
Was that man? Was that
man?
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
was it really that
so
high?
long ago?
Hey, might I remind you guys, Super Bowl winning walk-off touchdown, McCole Hardman?
Yeah, you can remind me.
Now you see this big chunk of pitchers go. Like this is like that zone of pitchers that I was saying that I really like. A lot of my favorites just went in that range, unfortunately. So Stephen Kwan is like the definition of boring. We don't want Stephen Kwan. He doesn't. Yeah, he's not going to spike for us.
Perfect. Josh Lowe's fun. And then we could try and do like a low Yandy Diaz. That's one of my favorite little stacks in this range.
Yeah, I think we should try to do that.
Do low first?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think Enthreus will. I don't think he'll go.
And if
Yandy,
if we get boxed out on Yandy, we can also just take like Isak Paredes in a couple rounds or something like that. Some middle of the order, like good Reds or good Rays hitters.
So you said Yandy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, it's a fun stack that these guys all project pretty well, and like the Rays always get kind of a dock in drafts just because they're not like, I mean, it's weird. They're a really good team, but they play in like a really bland park, and they just don't have stars, I mean, if you want to look at Yandy's numbers versus Ellie's, based on last year in projections,
right.
like it's wild. The difference between Yandy and Ellie in projections are, completely different. And sure, the range of outcomes are also like, Yandy's is going to be much tighter compared to Ellie's, of course. but it's pretty stark. I mean, all these infielders, though, to be fair, have better projections than Ellie. So,
I love how
will you
spicy the
talk?
takes are.
I remember we touched on this a little bit last year, but obviously I need a refresher. You mentioned the stack. Will you talk about how the correlation benefits both like single game and season long, like how that works for players on the same team?
Yeah, a multitude of ways. The park factor is definitely a big one. So if you stack teams in like good parks with good hitting conditions, blah blah blah. Other one is like direct correlation with like within your own lineup. So if the guys hit beside one another, literally drive one another in, like that's a big boost there. Then the other one is like if you're playing a series against the same team for like 4 days and you beat the shit out of them for 2 days, well they have depleted pitching for day 3 on like a getaway day or whatever, where they're going to be traveling the following day. They're more likely to throw, lesser arms that day. They're more likely to, maybe even throw positional, players there. So it works like a multitude of ways.
Yeah, the way and the big thing for me too is just like the way that they all feed off each other. It's just like it's really unlike any other sport in that regard, where if one player does well, it allows another player to get another chance to score points. Like that's just like you don't really see that often. On top of the fact that one player can hit another player in, just like your traditional correlation factors that you're going for. It really is, I think, underutilized, slowly getting picked up by the field. You're hearing it talked about more and more, seeing it done in drafts more and more. Chip, unfortunately, took our pick. I'm pretty upset that he did that. Wyatt Langford, Pete, was drafted last season. You typically don't see players like get called up to the big leagues like the following year after being drafted, but Wyatt Langford has a chance to, be on the opening day roster for the Rangers, and that's a big baseball boy playing on one of the best teams in baseball. He's kind of like the Discord's favorite rookie this season. He very well could be way overdrafted, but also could be way underdrafted.
Okay, we are on the clock here. Who stands out?
I like
Do you want to
Eloy.
You like Eloy? I was going to say McLean for the correlation.
I was going to say the opposite because I think they negatively impact each other. I think you could get Spencer Steer after or something like that. You could take McLean or Eloy, either of the first two.
All right, I gave you the Ellie pick. We're gonna give Nez McLean here.
My thought process with McLean is if Ellie hits his nut ceiling, some of it comes at the expense of Matt McLean. Because Matt McLean, he had a really good year last year, but he's still really young with options. They have a lot of mouths to feed in that infield, and playing time is going to be scarce.
We miss Mitch Keller. That's a bummer.
He turned purple off.
No, it's okay. Do you want to keep hitting bats, or do we want to go pitcher? Because I do like some pitchers here. I take a lot of pitchers in this range. I like Joe Musgrove. I like Yuri Perez, and I like Eloy.
Who do we take?
Favorite of the
Eloy?
Yeah, Eloy's got the highest ceiling by like a lot.
Okay.
This may be the year Eloy plays 100 games too.
Yeah, he's like the perennially injured former big prospect who we expected the world from. He was a 101 and was traded as part of like big deals of the past. And then he's never really panned out because of health, but every time he plays.
He did play a 120
average
last year.
Yeah.
But he was hurt he played through some injuries last year. But John's right though. The ceiling is definitely massive for Eloy. Like if he is healthy, and I don't think you have to go too far down the right tail to get really big production from Eloy. So definitely fits the bill for what we're trying to do with this team.
Easy. What's this in reference to yesterday's show? Yeah, I haven't listened to yesterday's show yet. Did you guys talk about Matt McLean?
I think, yeah. Easy's really into Matt McLean, and we kind of talked about like that, the way the infield is set up and what's like set in stone right now. And it seems like McLean's spot is like cemented, and they're going to give Ellie, based on coach comments, like every chance in the world to play shortstop.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, when they re-signed Jonathan India and like, yeah, it's weird. And then like Noelvi's going to play third. I don't know.
CES, Christian Encarnacion and Stranded, I think, is the odd man out at the moment.
That's fair. Yeah. And Spencer Steer plays first base.
By the sounds of it. But they're a fun team.
Yeah.
They're just really young, and they play in like one of the smallest parks in baseball, so they have the opportunity to hit a lot of home runs. Anytime somebody's playing in a Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, you know, your ears perk up and you want a piece of those offenses. So they happen to play there for half the year. So it's that helps.
So
We might
Matt
also
McClain
take
plays
a
second
pitcher.
base. India plays. Sorry, I want to close the book on
DH.
the. So you just think India's DH?
As of now, yeah, they don't really have a spot for him.
And Spencer Steer can play the outfield too a little bit, and they could platoon like Friedel and Fraley.
And they have Jamer Candelario too.
Steer.
They signed Jamer Candelario. They gave him money. They
Yeah,
asked him to come in.
that
was a silly signing. I don't really understand that. They don't like somebody there for that.
Yeah, because I thought like Matt McClain's ceiling would be directly tethered to like his ceiling outcome would be like Ellie doesn't perform and Ellie gets like sent down, or which I don't think's out of the realm of possibility, and he plays short. He was phenomenal last year. This has nothing to do with McClain. This has to do with pairing McClain and Ellie. That was like my mindset.
Right. Yeah, there might be something to that. But McClain is very, very good.
Fair enough.
All right. We're about to be on the 11-12 turn. We got a 1-4-5 cooking right now. Anything we should be thinking about?
We might have to start cranking a little purple.
Okay. The only name I recognize here is Verlander.
Oh, man. Verlander is 49 years old and might not be ready for opening day. I tell you what, man. We might have to do Sawinski and close the book on outfield. Sawinski is like outfield version. Well, he just doesn't steal as many bases, but
where do you get your ideas? I'm just looking at his team.
Sawinski is so polarizing because all he's going to do is either like get on base or hit a home run or strike out, the 3 true outcome player. But for our format, he is like a perfect guy that you want because he has the range of outcomes to be like the top scoring outfielder every week because like he's either hitting a home run or not. And he has the chance to string together a big week for you.
He's Jamal Williams 2 years ago, where it's like, we're just trying to get some touchdowns here. And he's going to have viable weeks when he scores touchdowns. If not, he's just a 0 in your roster.
That was really good. Now, here, Pete, I will just say, I just want to throw a name. I do take a lot of Jackson Holiday. He's a rookie. He's like 21 years old, but we need a pitcher really badly. So, John, what do you think? Montgomery, Barrios, Darvish? What do you think?
I like Darvish or Javier, I think.
Okay. Both are bounce back candidates. Darvish
Darvish is a little safer of the two, especially with like the most recent news we just got. But yeah, he just feels like if Darvish was 100% healthy, he's going to be a big spring riser, in my opinion. I think we just got 12 picks of closing line value. I don't think Darvish should be going behind Verlander.
I would agree with that. Verlander is going to he's going to fall like a rock. Yeah, Darvish.
Wasn't he like a viral meme prospect when he came into the league? I recognize that name.
Yeah, he's got like a bajillion pitches. He's pretty funny and
he's also he's got big personality too for someone that that English is not like a language that he speaks. He says some very funny things on Twitter. Darvish is old, but like pitchers age a little differently. But you do kind of have health concerns. How many pitchers do you think we're going to take on this team? 7 or 8? Like, because it's no doubt at a minimum 7.
Yeah, I think it's 7. Senga and Darvish not terrible. Just like 2-way start here. We'll find some profiles we like late.
So what are the general, like, if you go anchor picture in say the first couple of rounds, how many total pitchers are you taking generally?
Probably about the same, like 6. 6 if you go with like the anchor ones. I think 5 is really pushing the envelope if you went like too early, just because there's so much volatility in the way they score, and if you don't run to start weeks late. I think 6 to 8 is just kind of like the happy zone with pitcher, and it's not directly impacted by how early you took it, an ace, but that would definitely make me want to stop at 6.
I think you have a chance to like really, really smash at 5 pitcher if you do it correctly and get lucky. But that's the thing is like there would be so much luck involved with 5 pitcher because you lose out on a potential 2-start week, like an extra opportunity at 2 starts, and pitchers just tend to get hurt, more frequently. So then you're left like really thin. But the Dinger 2 years ago, the winning roster had 6 pitchers, but only 5 healthy all season. But that was a smaller field. We're dealing with a larger field now. So I would say mostly 6 pitchers. And if you're like us, where you have like 1 pitcher through 10 rounds, you definitely need to have in the back of your mind that I need 7 pitchers, because that's just, it's going to get pretty thin. Like, yeah, pitcher is pushed down, but you see all this purple on the screen right now. Like when pitchers start to go, like they really start to go fast. And now we're left with a different profile of pitcher, most likely, which is somebody that throws a lot of innings, which counts, but less strikeout upside for the most part.
That's funny, because I was going to go the other way and be like, let's just shoot the moon with this staff on like.
Well, we should try.
Yeah.
But, you're just
what does
not
that
gonna,
mean? What do you mean by that?
Like just taking swings at guys with like high strikeout rates and like elite kind of like stuff numbers, but the innings aren't guaranteed, or they're younger, or they have a little bit more injury risk than like the stable, boring vets.
Which, like, I'm on board. Good luck trying to find names that fit that bill at this range, because I love myself some Jordan Montgomery. King definitely fits that bill. But Montgomery goes, but Montgomery, is gonna give you less than 1K per inning, which is kind of like the baseline is like 1 strikeout per inning. If you like expand, and you can kind of see historically what a player has done.
I got 3 names.
Okay.
Brandon Pfaadt, Nick Lodolo, Braxton Garrett.
I'm a big Lodolo guy for sure.
I mean, we don't necessarily have to start now. Yeah, they're all pitchers. Like right now, I think maybe you just take the Verlander fall, or you take the Sale. I mean, Verlander might fall further than this in the future. Like Sale's kind of fun.
Let's do Chris Sale. If Chris Sale can give you 140 innings, then he's a great pick. He's the definition of what John was trying to do, of shooting the moon. I mean, he's one of the few guys left that can do that. And Andreas passes up on Verlander. Verlander, I think, has fell off considerably. Even last season, you saw it. This might be an infielder if you want to hit the green.
Oh, yeah.
So Naylor is like my guy.
Or Isaac Paredes to stack.
Okay. Paredes is down below Giloff there, Pete, but I like
take Naylor. He's a good Canadian kid.
I love Josh Naylor. His story is just like, I'm just like not sure why people don't take him sooner, because I mean, he has power, left-handed hitter. The team around him isn't like super great, but he himself is just like a fantastic hitter, and he's my highest drafted player right now. I have him on half of my teams.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't like leaving drafts.
Wow, that was your 50% guy.
Josh Naylor. Very much
bump incoming.
Very much.
I'm gonna get some good CLV at 158.
I mean, he's not going to steal any bases. Sometimes he does, which is funny because he is sort of like a big boy, but he's just a great hitter. I'm not going to comp him to any player that we took earlier on this team, but he's very good.
All right. Kyle asking for in on Jordan Hicks. I mean, Jordan Hicks, he gets stretched out in that ballpark, if that team's contending, I like it. I mean, he could be a huge riser in spring.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it would take. Jordan Hicks has like never been a successful starter. They've tried to put him at starter. He hasn't thrown a lot of innings before. I think I would just rather take different shots. Like I'd rather take a shot on Jack Flaherty, who has past good stuff in his bag. Kind of.
He was on Pete's team last year.
Oh, the good callback.
Yeah.
Didn't
He
have.
was? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was going way late because he was coming back from an injury. Yeah, we didn't do too.
Yeah, you guys are killing me.
Too hot in the pitcher department.
I got the comp. I got the comp for Jordan Hicks. The Cardinals did it again with Alex Reyes 2.0.
Yeah, how could I think I was trying to put it into football terms for.
Oh,
for
no,
Pete.
I just I don't know.
No, but no, he is very much Alex Reyes. This is the
easy world's slowest draft. Let's go, push the plane.
It's just this middle portion here. All right, there goes Key Brian Hayes.
All right, who do we like? Is this the Verlander dip all the way here, or still need more of a deal?
Oh man,
I think I like Braxton Garrett more than him still.
Yeah,
I think I do too. Like even just like in a vacuum, man, I just don't. Well, Justin Verlander isn't going to give you too many like high ceiling games. I think his ceiling is like 8 strikeouts in a game. And that's definitely not the average.
All right, Garrett goes.
Whoa.
Scroll a little bit, Pete. On the left, we can get out of ADP here.
I could go for Lodolo here.
Lodolo, yeah,
really, really take a swing. He's coming back off an injury, but big time strikeout upside. That if he does hit, he hits for you in like a really, really big way. And we'll have the bodies to kind of make up for a dip if Lodolo misses some time midseason.
Yep. I like that.
We're back OTC.
I'd probably scroll up now.
Kyle Harrison? I think we go pitcher. Kikuchi?
I think I like Gore.
Okay, do Gore. I'm a fan of Gore.
More than Harrison.
Is there any stacking with pitchers, or are they just kind of on an island?
It's kind of islandy. I think the 2 biggest things you could do for pitcher are look at the schedules in the postseason and see who's pitching in quality parks. Because like Nick Lodolo, for instance, terrible home park, but there's an outlying possibility that they get a couple road starts, something like that. And then the other thing is if you put the condom on it, like we do sometimes in the playoff best ball, and you pair like 2 pitchers on the same team together, you're more likely that one of them has a 2-start week.
Yeah, it's sort of like diminishing returns after 2, but yeah, no doubt on that. I think like what John said. Typically, if you're gonna want to get any correlation, it is like the correlating of the park itself. You can gal-brain yourself into saying if I stack a pitcher with my bats and the bats do well while my pitcher is starting, then he's more likely to get the win, which is a point. But it's so random and negligible at that point that it's not worth like really chasing. But it's something that we've talked about.
I'll give you one cheeky back. This is not a homer take either, but it's low-key a homer take. The cheeky back stack of pitchers that I don't mind putting together: Bryce Miller and Brian Wu. They get Oakland at home in the finals.
That's always good.
Enough said, right? Yeah. And like they both have high strikeout rates. They're probably both going to be in the rotation for the whole year, especially if the team's in contention. One of them could get shut down early, most likely Wu, comparative to Miller. Could get shut down early if the team's not in contention. But, even if you do it with like Logan Gilbert and one of them, or you do it with like Kirby and Gilbert, I think that's a pretty sneaky spot to attack.
Yeah, I like those pitchers too. They're in good parks as well. So if that's something that you want to attack, I mean, they're prime examples of having a great park to pitch in. How many pitchers do we have right now?
We are at 5 pitchers.
Okay.
We got Senga, Darvish, Chris Sale, Lodolo, and Gore.
Not bad. It needs 2 more though. Let's go to the infield for a sec here.
Because we got
De La
4 more
Cruz.
picks.
Yeah, what else do we have in the infield?
Oh, our infield, Bobby Witt, De La Cruz, Diaz, Matt McClain, Josh Naylor.
Pretty solid. And then, yeah, outfield. I think we're good at outfield.
So we're looking at 7-6-6
or 7-7-6, yeah,
or 7-7, yeah.
I think so. Are you in agreement with that, John?
Let's spice this shit up for Pete though. Let's get some sexy guys in here.
All right.
Like, let's get some sexy stacks going with like, let's get Junior in the Tampa Bay stuff, and let's get Noel V. Marte in the Cincinnati stuff.
Let's just do it right now. It's get your guy season at this range.
Junior?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Junior coming out, and he's a fun, exciting rookie who's got a path to playing time, who showed a little bit last year. I mean, he could easily win AL Rookie of the Year.
So now we're back to back.
Yeah, and here's the trade-off, Pete, is like turn me up saying like Junior might not start on the roster.
But he'll get there. I think everybody is pretty confident that he'll get there at some point. But yeah, that's his downside right now, is he might not start. But you don't get any money for the first few weeks.
Yeah.
All right, who are we doing?
I say do Noel V. Marte.
How do I spell that?
Noel. Yeah.
So if that young core of red team emerges, and they are kind of like slightly ahead of schedule, he plays every single day at third base and or DH and or whatever. Ball sounds different off his bat, and
This is Pete, this is low key a homer pick from John, by the way.
He's a top 10 prospect in baseball.
But he's still a homer pick because he used to be a prospect for your Seattle Mariners, and now, so you might have got duped a little bit, but I do like Noel.
I'll give you the hand on the infield dirt, Pete. He used to play for Everett, and the Aqua Sox would come here and play against the Canadians, Vancouver Canadians, little minor league baseball, and I would go almost every time he was up here, and dude's built different. He's built like a house, and he hits the ball really far. There's a double wall in center field, and the ball doesn't travel in this ballpark because of the air density here. Double wall in center that's like 420 feet away, and he hits them off the top of that wall where I've never seen any other prospect hit them that's come through this organization. So there's my hand on the soil.
Team watch the tape.
Team watch the tape, baby.
So yeah, we're gonna have to finish up, I think, with 2 pitchers, considering that the capital that we spent is light and we only have 5. So we can start to go down this list here. I mentioned I don't think Kyle Harrison is going to be there, so we can continue to go. We're out of outfielders, GA. Otherwise, Matt Wallner would have been long on this team. So these aren't a lot of super fun names, but if we want to go for safety, I think Kyle Gibson is somebody that is going to throw a lot of pitches this season. Not going to strike out a lot of guys, but he's going to throw a lot of innings. Has the potential to get some quality starts and wins for the Cardinals. But we can try to go sexy if that's what you're thinking, John.
I kind of like sexy. I think Pete would kind of like sexy too. Like they'll shoot the moon here with some back guys.
Let's do it.
I think I like Taj Bradley quite a bit. I think people lose sight of the fact of like how injured and banged up that rotation is, and they still have aspirations of contending. He pitched well for stretches last year. I believe in the stuff.
So is this where the pitcher running back comparisons fall through? Because like in running back, you don't need the talent. If you just get the opportunity, you can crush for fantasy. But these guys, they might get the opportunity, but you're not going to get the strikeouts or some of the other valuable stats.
I think it's both, Pete. I think you're correct in both terms. The difference here is just because there's so many more jobs available that you can opt for profile right now. So you can pick the sexy upside, or you can pick the Tyler Algier, who's going to get 10 carries a game kind of thing. So like the Kyle Gibson would be like the Algier without the handcuff upside, and the Taj Bradley would be like, who's like a maybe not like Deuce Vaughn, like Rico Dowd, like maybe something like that, right? Like it's like, yeah, a lot's got to break right for him to like break the slate for you, but it's when it goes right, it's probably better than having, a split backfield guy. I don't know.
Yeah, he's made for this team. Taj Bradley is made for this team. Like we don't give a hell if this team lives or dies. Give a hell. Sorry, I'm really PG here. But Taj Bradley has that upside. Everybody's clamoring for this team to be Paul Skeens, but I can't in good conscience.
I think you got to.
Oh, Pete.
You got to sell Pete the Paul Skeens pen here. If you want to go safe,
what angle do I want to sell Paul Skeens on? Like
this is the guy that dates
there you go,
Livy Dunn. So
yeah.
Livy Dunn's boyfriend has to be on this team.
Oh my god! I mean, geez, that was easy.
Oh man,
isn't he like our generation's Randy Johnson? Isn't he like 6'8"? I mean,
yeah, Pete. He is a monster. He's a monster. I'm of the belief, unbiased fan of the team that he just so happens to play for, that he has no choice. He's going to force the issue and be put on the major league roster because his stuff is so far advanced for the only level that he belongs at is the major leagues, but they are going to wait because of the implications of putting him on the major league roster so early, which is like you lose a year of service time, aka that is 1 year sooner that they are going to lose him because they're certainly not going to pay him, but it's 1 year sooner for him to get a new contract. So they're going to delay his debut. The debate is how long they will delay it. My two bullish points are, one, he is so good that he will force the issue. And two, the Pirates do not have good pitching that will also force the issue. Is like, oh, well, every like fourth or fifth day, their Pirates are putting up a bomb on the mound. We have this kid throwing 100 miles an hour to minor leaguers getting carved up. Why don't we just pitch this guy? So hopefully, if the offense can have success, the starting pitching, the wheels fall off, and, he forces the issue, you just got yourself a 3rd round pick in the 20th, baby.
I mean, it's just like, if this dude is good enough for Lizzie Dunn and he wasn't good enough for 12 drafters to take him, they passed over him 19 times. I'm going to scoop up that value.
Yeah, it's like the Amon-Ra St. Brown thing, right? We remember every team that passed up.
I have seen him in Livy Dunn TikTok, so this is a big addition to my team.
Questionable algorithm.
Yeah. All right, guys, I do have to run, so I can't do as much of a postmortem, but I definitely want to get in the streets a little more, and hopefully next time someone doesn't sabotage our $100 draft.
I would like that. We appreciate you playing along with us, Pete, and hopefully we can convert you. If not best ball, then at least maybe some dailies in the middle of summer when you're just itching for a sweat.
For sure. Yeah. And just a programming note, I'm doing no shows next week. I'm doing nothing, going in the lab, planning some stuff out, recharging, all of that. I don't know if you guys are going to run a normal show Wednesday at the same time.
Yeah, we'll run something Wednesday in lieu of that. I'm away this weekend, so Friday we're gonna flip tomorrow. So tomorrow we're gonna have a full show. Friday we're gonna have a paywall one with Nez. I'm most likely gonna hop back on here for the paywall people and do hoops. This 13 game slate is too good to pass up. Maybe give me an hour and a half, and do like a live before lock style thing for hoops. But I'll come back and we're gonna do a little drafting to close that out. But we'll have shows the next 3 days. It'll just be the Thursday and Friday switched. And then next week, yes, Wednesday, we'll still run something in this time slot.
Sweet. And then I believe our plan is to shift off season, off and on the clock to Wednesday afternoons. We were obviously doing that show Friday for NFL reasons, but I think it'll make most sense for us to be Wednesdays. And I think this 2 p.m. slot is pretty good. I think our off-season schedule for Swolecast is going to be every other Wednesday at 1, and then we can just always run this at 2 p.m. So that'll take place 2 weeks from today. We'll get rolling. And yeah, I'll be in the big board streets by then. We'll keep the dinger stuff. You guys can turn me into a multi-sport athlete. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the BadgeBros channel here. Turn on those notifications, become YouTube members to get the private Memby. I love that Wemby only streams. I saw what you did there the other day.
Thank you. I'm glad you like that.
Yeah, get you a Wemby's only jacket. But yeah, anything else? Are we good here, fellas?
I think we're good.
People asking what time hoops. What time does hoops lock for Eastern time zone? 7 or 7:30?
It locks at 7 Eastern.
Okay, I'll be back at 3 Pacific, so 6 Eastern, maybe 5:30. 5:30 Eastern or 6.
Yeah, because the slate locks at 6:40 Eastern. So do with that information what you will.
Okay, I'll try and do it not all the way up to lock. Let's not keep Pete anymore. I'll be back, about an hour and a half before lock. Let's call it that.
Okay.
Cool. All right, guys. This has been real. Appreciate you. We'll see you, the 3 of us, in 2 weeks at this time. Otherwise, stay tuned for more BadgeBros content. We'll see you guys next time.